Welcome back to Go Gaddis Real Estate Radio right here on AM 920 The Answer. I'm Cleve Gaddis. In this segment, we're still talking all things mortgage. If you're listening and you're thinking, someday I'm going to get a mortgage, or maybe soon I'm going to get a mortgage, I'm telling you, what we're talking about in these segments is for you. So make sure you are paying attention. I'm joined on Riverside, the platform that we use to record some of these radio show segments with guests. I'm joined by Matt Scout, who is a VP Executive Mortgage Loan Originator for Southeast Mortgage. I didn't ask you in the last segment if somebody wanted to reach you, and I know after you were on before, we had a couple people go through our website to try to reach you because they had specific questions, and you can always go to GoGaddisRadio.com, click on Contact Us, put in a little information. We'll get Matt to get back to you. But if somebody just wanted to just reach out to you directly, how would they do that?
The easiest way, honestly, is to give me a call or send a text. Phone number is 480-636-6762, or you can email me at matthew.scout@southeastmortgage.com.
Now, if someone is worried about whether or not they can qualify, if somebody is nervous that they might be embarrassed if they can't qualify, if someone just has simple questions about a current mortgage and maybe how they could refinance it or something like that, can they call you with anything?
Absolutely. You never know what might work. So absolutely.
And is it a safe space? Meaning if somebody can't get approved for a loan, can you give them kind of a clear path for what they would need to do in order to get ready to have a loan? Because I think there's probably a lot of people who, because of student loan debt or something like that, they can't get a loan right now, but in 6 months they could make some changes and be ready to go. So you would do that. There's no cost, no obligation for that?
Yeah, no cost, no obligation. And it's something where people don't know what they don't know. And I always like to call it a game plan. If you're not ready yet, that's not a problem. But let's create a game plan so that we know in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it may be, exactly what we need to do step by step so that we're ready. It's actually some of the my favorite phone calls.
Love that. So you don't have the opportunity to earn any money at today's time, but it fills you up nonetheless, and I think that is really, really cool. Hey, real quickly, I don't know much about you. What is one thing that listeners should know about you personally, something that people would not expect if they're not very close to you, if you're willing to share something?
Absolutely. I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Philadelphia Eagles? Did you say Philadelphia
Really?
Eagles?
Mm-hmm.
How did you become a Philadelphia Eagles fan?
I actually grew up right across the bridge in New Jersey. I was about 15 minutes from Philadelphia.
Interesting.
Born and raised.
I'd love to tell you I like the Eagles, but I don't care for the Eagles a whole lot. I don't care for the
I
Eagles.
get that a lot.
Now,
Yeah.
do you wear Eagles attire as you travel or go different places?
Yeah, it depends on if they won or not. So if they just won a big game, absolutely.
I love that. So sometimes when I travel, I wear something that has the Falcons on it. Nobody ever says anything about anything. Now, they will say something if I have a Hawks hat on, but I sometimes will wear some Cowboys stuff because my fiance lives in Dallas. She lives right around from their practice facility in Frisco. Everybody in the airport talks to me when I have on something that has a Cowboys logo on it. It's the most fascinating thing I've ever seen.
It's just different with certain teams. What can I say?
People who love the Falcons come up and they just go, oh, man, maybe this year, maybe next year. I don't know. They're always kind of sad. It's kind of sad. I love that. So, okay, borrower is ready to buy a house. They're like, okay, Matt, I am ready to go. Tell me what they're going to need to be prepared to give you to make that process work. Because I don't think it's quite as big of a list as some people are concerned that it is. But I think in many cases, they don't have everything together. So I know you're going to need something that shows where my down payments come from. But give me the list.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we start off with a basic loan application, which I typically do over the phone or we can do online as well. So a lot of that's going to be just your standard info, full name, address, date of birth, where do you work, what's your income, and how's it structured. But then documentation wise, we will look for your driver's license. We'll look for 1 month of pay stubs.
Just one. Okay, so not 2 months.
Nope, 1 month of pay stubs.
Okay.
We'll look for 2 months of bank statements.
What's the purpose for the driver's license? Is that just to make sure you are who you say you are? I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you got to do that again at closing anyway. Closing attorney is
Correct.
going to
Yeah,
make you give it to them, for title insurance. Okay, driver's license, 1 month's pay stub. What else do we have?
Yep, 2 months of bank statements. That's to prove that you do have the funds needed for closing.
And to show that, and is it 2 months to show that you just didn't put all the money in that you borrowed from your father last month? It's been in there for a couple months. Is that the purpose? Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yes. Yep. Then we're also going to look at 2 years of W-2s. And then depending on how you get paid or your job, we're going to also look at 2 years of tax returns.
So if you have 2 years of W-2 because you're an employee, you're not going to need my tax return, correct?
That's correct.
But if the bulk of my income comes, for example, like from owning a business, then you would need to see my tax returns for the last couple of years.
Yes. In any standard loan, correct.
Yep. Yeah. And do you need to see, if I have a 200-page tax return, you need to see the whole thing?
Every single page of the federal tax return. We don't need to see state, but federal we do.
Federal tax return. Interesting. And what if I wanted to, and I would not do this, but what if I wanted to phony up a tax return and give it to you? How does the lender, and I know that the people you're selling the loans to make you verify. So do you actually have to verify that the tax returns I gave you are the actual tax returns?
Absolutely. So the tax return is the first part of a two-part process. Tax return is the actual filing to the IRS saying, here's what I've made, please verify it. Then on the other side of it with the IRS, it's called an IRS transcript, which you technically could call that the receipt. That is, the IRS has processed everything, and we get that from the IRS to verify that both sides match.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but a taxpayer can get their own transcript. Not that they can get it for you. You probably have to get it separately. I didn't know that. My mother, I don't know what happened, but we misplaced some tax returns. And to get the new CPA, I just had to get the transcripts and give them to them. And then they had all the information that they needed, which I thought was really cool. And it's easy to go in and set up your own account with the IRS. I don't know if you have anybody that ever does that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then so the buyer has driver's license, 1 month pay stubs, 2 months bank statements, 2 years W-2s, or 2 years tax returns. What determines whether or not they give you tax returns or they give you W-2? And if someone is paid a commission, how does their income get calculated? Let's just say they get paid commission and they've earned similar income for 3 years. How does all that get calculated?
Yeah, so if you're going with commission, then we are going to look at the tax returns because that is variable income. It does change from month to month. So we're going to look at the 2 years of tax returns and then average over a 24-month period to show what income we can use for that specific income. Now, to be able to determine what exactly why we would need a W-2 or tax return is, again, going to be dictated on, are you W-2 employee? Are you 1099? Are you self-employed? Do you receive just Social Security? There's different ways to actually break that all down, and that dictates what we do or do not need in the underwriting process.
And does what you need, is it also in some ways determined by the amount of down payment and people's credit score, or is it pretty much the same across the board?
No. Each loan has technically different guidelines. So like if you're looking at conventional, it requires 2 months of bank statements, whereas FHA only needs 1 month. So those are differences. So that'll be a little bit varying. But other than that, everything's going to be looking the same way, whether it's 580 credit score, 800 credit score, 20% down to 5% down, whatever it is, we still need all the same things, more or less.
Well, you just brought up a couple good subjects. What are my down payment options? When I bought my first home, it was 10%. I'm sure I could have paid less. What's the least amount of down payment someone can make and buy a home in the metro Atlanta area?
0.
And so what kind of loan would that be? That would be a VA loan, possibly?
It's either going to be VA, it's going to be USDA for any of your rural homes.
Okay.
And you can also look at, there's a few conventional loan products out there, not many.
Okay, that are 0 down?
Yeah, not too many, but there's a few out there, and your down payment assistance, first-time home buyer programs.
Interesting. So as little as 0, what would you say the average down payment is that you see? And I know I'm just asking you to make a guess.
Yeah, the average, so for FHA, 3.5% is the down payment. That's the standard. That's what most people go with. And then for conventional, you're usually going to see 5%.
5. But now, if it's conventional and they haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, they can get 3% down. Is that still right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
You don't see that as often, which is why I just didn't say that part. But yeah, you can go down to 3%.
Yeah. And really, they say you're not a homeowner if you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. So you could own one in
Correct.
2020, but you don't own one today, and you could be considered a first time home buyer. I know that's not what you technically are. Now, during the break, you and I did a little math. And
Yes.
I had posed in the second segment, okay, if interest rates drop 5%, how much more buying power does that give someone? And you very accurately said, well, it depends on, the qualification of the buyer, the purchase price, all that kind of stuff, which is totally true. But we ran a little math and realized that a buyer could have 5% more buying power with a 0.5% decrease in mortgage rate, which means on a $400,000 home, let's just say $400,000 mortgage on whatever home, the buyer could actually afford a $420,000 mortgage and have the same exact payment that they would have had for a $400,000 mortgage just 30 days ago.
Correct.
And it's amazing. When I look at, and I'm going to be honest with you, Matt, I don't know if you agree with me. We've got about a minute left in the segment, by the way. We're coming up to the end. But I feel in many ways sorry for younger buyers who are getting out trying to buy in today's market because the interest rates are high, the prices of the real estate are very high, and I have to tell you that I'm really inside. I'm really hoping that we get some relief for them. I know if we get some relief for them, it's going to cause other problems in the market because we're going to have prices going up and they're going to have lots of competition and stuff like that. But, I want for all of the people who are my daughter's age, 28 down to 23, I want all of them to be able to buy houses and sort of live that American dream. Matt, one more time, we've got about 30 seconds left. What's the phone number somebody could use to call you if they want to get in touch with you?
Yes, 480-636-6762.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here. Will you come back and see us sometime soon?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back in our neighborhood spotlight, we've got Riverstone Park, which is in Brazelton. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about Brazelton. There's so many cool things about that area. It's history, it's wine, it's racing, all that stuff and where it meets. And if you're going to sell your home, should you be selling your home or your home and the lifestyle people can have if they have your home? We have that and more. Stick with us. We'll be back.